No matter where you started in Rise of Kingdoms, everybody eventually reaches the end game. And in the end game, you have to decide what kind of player you want to be. There are really only two kinds of end game players in Rise of Kingdoms, and I'm going to talk about those two kinds of players and how the three most important economies of the end game can help support those two different player types. So stick around. What's up, everybody? Psych out here with another Rise of Kingdoms video. Look, in the end game of Rise of Kingdoms, there's really only two different play styles. I'm going to describe both of those very quickly, and I know I've had some long videos lately, so I'm going to try to be brief with you here. The first play style is a player who mainly focuses on rallies and garrisons. And so this is a player who might focus on getting max level garrison commanders. They might focus on getting top tier gear, but mainly what they're going to be focusing on is getting lots and lots of troops, because in rallies and in garrisons your troops die. And if all your troops are gone and you're mainly focused on rallies and garrisons, then you can't do anything else, right? So you need to have lots and lots of troops if you want to rally and garrison. The second type of player is a player who mainly focuses on field fighting. And in field fighting, your troops don't die, they go to the hospital, and you have to bring them back. But bringing them back comes with a significant cost, and that is in the form of resources and speed ups. And so both of these players obviously suffer some losses, whether they're dead troops and they have to retrain them and bring them back, or they're troops in the hospital and you have to heal them to bring them back. In either case, you have to pay lots and lots to get those troops back. But there is a critical difference in how these two players play with the key three economies. And so the three economies of the end game in Rise of Kingdoms are as follows. Number one is resources. That is, you need resources, and that means food, wood, stone, and gold. And you need lots and lots of those resources if you want to be either of these two player types. If you want to lead rallies and garrisons, you need lots of resources to train troops. If you want to be a mainly field fighting type, you don't just need lots of resources, you need huge, massive numbers of resources, because healing those troops over and over and over again takes a lot of time. For the player type number one, the rally garrison player type, the player who's in rallies, in garrisons, leading rallies, leading garrisons, those types of players, it doesn't really matter if they run out of resources, or it's just they don't need as many resources, because once they've run out of troops, it doesn't really matter. They can't heal them anyway. All they can do is train more troops for the next KVK. So resources are really one part of the economy, and for the first player, you need them to train, but the other player needs resources not only to train, they also need resources to heal their hospital many, many, many times. And so there's a critical distinction right here just on this first economy in how these two players play. So the first kind of player probably doesn't have to focus much on farm accounts. They probably don't need as many farm accounts because they just aren't going to need as many resources. They're going to gather as many resources as they can. They're going to use whatever resources they've got from spending, and they can pretty much spend their resources every time there's any kind of a training event. They can just go in on all the resources and train as many troops as they can, and then when KVK hits, they basically just zero themselves. They put all their troops into rallies and garrisons until they don't have any troops left. So that player needs some number of resources, but not as many as the other player. The other player who's doing lots and lots of field fighting needs tons of farm accounts, huge numbers of resources if they want to continue fighting and playing throughout the KVK. The second economy that both of these players have to be thinking about is the speed up economy. And whether you're training troops or healing troops, you need lots of speed ups. And again, we see a similar kind of dichotomy here, where the first player can pretty much put all of his speed ups, his or her speed ups, whether they're training speed ups or universal speed ups, into training troops. And so again, in pre-KVK or during KVK or in the off season, they can just spend every resource and every speed up they've got, every one that they've earned, everyone that they've bought, whatever they've done, to train more troops and get those troops ready. And so by the time KVK starts, they don't need speed ups, they don't need resources, because they're just going to send their troops off to die. They're not going to heal down their hospital. They don't really care. That the whole point of training those troops is to send them off to die. The second player, again, needs tons tons and tons of speedups because healing down that hospital takes a lot of speedups. In the last KVK, KVK2, I think I spent more than 100 days of speedups. I'll put a card at the top where I list some of the accomplishments we had in that KVK, including how many speedups and resources it cost us. But if you want to do lots of field fighting, you're going to have to heal that hospital many, many times over. You're also, again, going to need speedups to train those troops. So not only do you have to train the troops, you also have to heal the troops. Whereas the first player doesn't have to worry at all about healing troops. So in the terms of those two economies, the second player needs a lot more. They need a lot more resources and they need a lot more speedups. Typically, the best way to get speedups is by being very active, killing lots of things like barbarians on the map, obviously spending, spending things like Wheels of Fortune, spending the gem, the gem or the equipment kind of events for gems, and getting those speedups. But in any case, that player is going to need a lot more speedups because not only are they going to be training troops, they're also going to need to be healing their troops over and over again. And finally, the third economy we need to talk about is the gem economy. And this is one where the first player, depending on exactly what they're doing in a rally or garrison role, might actually need to have quite a bit more gems, particularly if this player is a garrison or rally leader. They are going to need lots and lots of gems because you need gems to get the top level rally commanders. You need gems to, for that could be from Wheel of Fortunes, but it could also be by winning Mightiest Governors, things like that. It could also be, the other thing you'll need gems for, of course, is getting top tier equipment. If you want to lead rallies and lead garrisons, you're going to be expected to have the top tier equipment. Largely to get to lead rallies and garrisons, you're also going to have to be a big spender, meaning you're going to have a high VIP level. The only way to get there is to be a pretty big spender and to have lots and lots of gems. So the point is that this rally garrison leader type player, or this person who's in those rallies and garrisons, might need a lot more gems than the other player who will certainly want to have good commanders to be fighting in the field, but they don't necessarily have to have the absolute top rate commanders with the absolute top rate gear to maintain a fighting presence. Really what they need is resources and speedups. So because of these two different play styles, this really affects the way, or these two sort of end game goals, this really affects the way that you play the game. So the first player really, maybe they don't want to dedicate a lot of time to farm accounts. Farm accounts are really taxing and really time consuming. So they say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to spend some money. I'm going to make sure I buy some training bundles. I'm going to buy War Machine. I'm going to buy Geared Up. I'm going to buy those kind of bundles. I'm going to invest a lot in training troops, just train tons of troops. Every training event, I'm going to go after it. Every MGE, I'm going to go after the top spot because I've got all these training speedups. I've got all these resources from these bundles. And I'm going to put all of those speedups and all of those resources into getting the top commanders into really great shape. Whereas the other player is going to say, you know what, I need to save some resources. I need to save some speedups. I can't just use them all to train. I can't just have massive numbers of troops. I need to save some because I want to heal the troops that I have trained so I can continue field fighting during the KVK. So they really have very different approaches to the game. Both are equally useful ways of playing the game, but I think there's a really critical distinction in terms of those KVK goals. So as many of you know, one of the KVK achievements is getting either 25 or 35 or 30 million kills, 25 million kills in non-Season of Conquest, 30 million kills in Season of Conquest events. It seems like it's a lot easier to do that if you are doing a lot of field fighting. It's a lot harder to do that if you're mainly focusing on garrisons and rallies. Of course, you can get those kill achievements from doing garrisons and rallies, but you have to do a whole heck of a lot of them. So look, if you're out there thinking, I want to get that achievement, then really field fighting is probably the easiest way to go. But if you're thinking, no, I just want to spend all of my resources, I want to spend all of my speed ups into training troops, I want to have massive numbers of troops, I want to have as much power as I can, and I just want to throw them into flags, throw them into rallies, then that first player type is really what you're looking at for the end game. You're looking to invest all of your resources and all of your speed ups into training, and you're looking to invest all of your gems into commanders and top tier gear. Whereas the second player has to be a little more careful about doing too much training. They have to save resources, they have to save speed ups, they have to work a lot of farm accounts so that they can heal those troops during KVK, but also probably join some rallies, join some garrison situations as well, but maintaining a steady enough number of troops that they can continue field fighting throughout the KVK. And of course, they'll be spending their gems on equipment and commanders, but probably not at such a high rate that maybe the garrison or rally leaders are spending them. So those are really two different playstyles, and that's how those three economies, resources, speed ups, and gems affect them. Now, a special notice for free-to-play or very low spenders. So if you're free-to-play or a very low spender, you can do either of these roles, actually. You probably can't be the rally leader or the garrison leader. You can see my video about roles. I'll put a card at the top about that. But you probably can say, hey, I just want to fill rallies and garrisons. I just want to train as many troops as I can, fill those rallies, fill those garrisons. Or you can be the second type of player who says, I want to do a lot of field fighting and not so much rally and garrison feeling. And the way to do that, either way, whichever of these two strategies you decide to employ in the end game, is first of all, if you're free to play and you want to do these things, you've got to have a lot of farm accounts. You're going to need a lot of resources for the training. You're going to need a lot of resources for healing if you're doing the field fighting. You're going to need a lot of gems as well to get those commanders. And the way to do that is to have a lot of farm accounts that only focus on resources, and on your main account, only farm gems. So you're just farming gems on your main account. You're farming gems all the time. Of course, you're also going to be needing to barb chain. That is to use AoE commanders like YSG to kill multiple barbs per attack. And a little bit of analysis I did a while back, I found that if you got at least 3 barbs per attack, every barb chain was better than you got more efficiency out of your AP by killing 3 barbs than by just killing a single barb with a typical march. So barb chaining is really the way to go so that you can get those speed ups. That's the best way to get those speed ups as a free to play. You can get the maximum value from those barbs. You can also get those resources from your farm accounts. Your farm accounts should be farming resources for you pretty much all the time. And you're going to need a lot. For free to play players, I would guess somewhere between 5 to 10 farm accounts would be necessary if you want to do a significant amount of field fighting. And then you've got to farm all those gems you can on your main account, of course, using the barb chaining to also grab some gems from those barbs from time to time. You're going to be investing those gems in a select set of commanders, particularly commanders that are really good at the role that you want to play. So if you want to be jumping into garrisons, then it probably doesn't matter so much, since you're going to be just filling garrisons, you're going to be filling rallies. Probably commanders with a little bit of march speed would be useful for you, so you can get there a little faster or slower. But if you're the type of player who wants to do some field fighting and you're free to play, then you're going to be needing to use those resources judiciously so that you can do some training, but also so you can do some healing. And of course, you're going to be needing collecting those speedups, particularly barb chaining during KVK. Those KVK barbs do drop healing speedups, which you are also going to find very useful during KVK. So I said this would be a short video. That's it for this video. I hope you have a better understanding of which kind of player you might want to be during the late game and what kinds of things you're going to need from an economy perspective. How many resources you're going to need, how many speed ups you're going to need, how many gems are you going to need if you want to be effective in those roles in the late game in Rise of Kingdoms. Thanks so much for watching this video, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.